What's up, guys? Welcome back to Narrative Channel. If you're new here, I tell dark, mysterious, and true crime stories that will leave you questioning reality. If that sounds like your kind of thing, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next upload. Today, we are diving into the case of Lars Mittank, a young man whose disappearance has become one of the most chilling and puzzling mysteries of the last decade. His story is infamous not just because he vanished without a trace, but because his last known moments were caught on multiple security cameras. And yet, even with all that evidence, nobody has been able to explain what happened to him. So let's get into it. It was the summer of 2014. Lars Mittank was 28 years old, living in northern Germany. He was described by friends and family as laid back, reliable, and down to earth. He was not the kind of person who caused trouble. That June, he and 4 of his closest friends booked a vacation to the Bulgarian coast. Their destination was Golden Sands, a popular seaside resort filled with nightclubs, hotels, and cheap restaurants. For young tourists in their 20s, it was the perfect place to relax, drink, and enjoy the summer. When the group arrived, everything seemed normal. They checked into their hotel, spent the first days lounging on the beach, going to bars at night, and making the most of their holiday. By all accounts, they were having a great time. Nothing about the trip suggested anything unusual was about to happen. But in the last days of their vacation, Lars began acting strangely. On July 6th, the group headed to a bar to watch a soccer match. The details vary depending on who you ask, but what is clear is that Lars got into a heated argument with some locals. He was cheering for one team, the Bulgarians were cheering for the other. At first, it was nothing more than shouting, but soon it escalated. His friends quickly pulled him outside before it could turn violent. Later that night, the friends stopped at a McDonald's before heading back to their hotel. Lars stayed outside while his friends went in to order food. When they came out, he was gone. They searched the surrounding area, waited for him to show up, and eventually returned to the hotel, assuming he would make his way back on his own. Hours later, Lars returned, but something was off. He told his friends he had been attacked by a group of men, possibly Russian, maybe Bulgarian. He believed these men had been sent after him by the people from the bar earlier that evening. He claimed they had beaten him up and hit him in the ear. His friends were skeptical. The story didn't add up. Where exactly had this happened? Why hadn't anyone seen the fight? And why did Lars disappear for so long before coming back? But whether the story was true or not, Lars seemed genuinely shaken. He insisted he had been assaulted. The next day, the group prepared to fly home. Lars admitted his ear was still hurting. His friends encouraged him to see a doctor before boarding a plane. At a local medical clinic, Lars was examined and diagnosed with a ruptured eardrum. Flying with this condition could be extremely painful and could cause permanent damage. The doctor prescribed him a common antibiotic and suggested he postpone his flight by a few days to let the injury heal. Surgery was also mentioned as an option, but Lars refused. He wanted to get home to Germany before undergoing any procedure. When Lars returned to the hotel, his friends immediately offered to delay their flights and stay with him. But Lars insisted they go. He told them not to change their plans, that he would be fine on his own. They argued, but eventually they boarded their plane and left. Lars checked into a cheap hotel near the airport called Hotel Color, planning to catch a flight home a few days later. That decision would be the beginning of the end. On his first night alone, Lars began behaving in a way that alarmed everyone who later learned about it. Around midnight, he called his mother, Sandra, and begged her to cancel his bank cards immediately. He offered no explanation, just that she needed to shut them off. A few hours later, at 3 a.m., he called again. This time he was whispering, his voice panicked. He told his mother that men were following him, that they wanted to kill him. Sandra later described this phone call as the most terrifying moment of her life. She could hear the fear in her son's voice. She knew he believed what he was saying. Meanwhile, hotel staff reported that Lars had been pacing the halls, hiding in corners, even ducking into elevators as if he was trying to avoid someone. At one point, he left the hotel for an hour and returned without explanation. He looked nervous, paranoid, and unstable. By the next morning, Lars took a taxi to Varna Airport. The driver later said Lars seemed agitated. His pupils were dilated and he looked like he was in some kind of altered state. At the airport, Lars texted his mother to say he had arrived safely. She suggested he visit the airport doctor one last time to confirm if it was safe to fly. He agreed. Security cameras captured him entering the medical office calmly, carrying his luggage. The doctor examined his ear and told him he was fit to fly. But during the exam, Lars appeared restless, paranoid. He kept fidgeting, glancing around the room as if he expected someone to burst in at any second. Then something happened. A construction worker entered the office wearing a reflective vest. He was part of a crew doing renovations at the airport. For everyone else in the room, it was routine. But for Lars, it triggered panic. Suddenly, he shot up from his chair, shouted, "I don't want to die," and bolted out of the office. The security cameras captured what happened next in chilling detail. Lars sprinted through the terminal, leaving his bags behind. He ran past security, through the parking lot, and toward a barbed wire fence at the edge of the property. Without hesitation, he climbed over it, ignoring the sharp wire, and disappeared into a field bordering the forest. And that was it. He vanished. Despite searches by police, dogs, helicopters, and volunteers, no trace of Lars was ever found. He had simply run into the woods and never returned. The mystery of what happened to Lars has fueled endless theories. Some believe he suffered a head injury during the fight at the bar. A ruptured eardrum combined with a possible concussion might have triggered paranoia, confusion, or even a psychotic episode. Others suggest the antibiotics prescribed to him caused hallucinations. But investigators later confirmed he never filled the prescription, so that explanation does not hold. Another theory is that Lars had a sudden mental health breakdown. He had no history of psychiatric issues, but sometimes traumatic events can trigger psychosis even in people with no prior warning signs. His behavior at the hotel and airport certainly resembled paranoia and delusions. But then there are those who believe Lars was right, that he was being followed, that his fear was justified. Perhaps he got caught up with the wrong people in Bulgaria, maybe over the soccer dispute, maybe over something else entirely. Some speculate he was targeted by criminals, possibly even involved in drug trafficking without realizing it. A year later, a truck driver claimed to have seen a barefoot man walking along the road in Bulgaria who looked like Lars, but this sighting was never confirmed. Beyond that, there has been nothing. No body, no belongings, no trace. Lars Mittank's disappearance remains one of the most unsettling mysteries caught on camera. His last moments show a man in full panic, running as if his life depended on it. But whether he was fleeing from real danger or from his own mind, we may never know. For his family, the nightmare continues. His mother has begged for answers for years, hiring private investigators, searching the forests, and appearing on television. But Lars is still missing. So what do you think happened? Did Lars suffer a psychotic break? Or was someone really after him? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you like stories like this, make sure to subscribe. I upload new true crime and mystery content every week.